What's up, y'all? We are back again.
What you got for them today?
We already told you guys our story about how we woke up, and if you haven't tapped into that video, go back and watch it.
Yeah, y'all slipping if y'all ain't seen it.
Yes, we will link it in the description. But today I wanted to talk about, possibility of waking up by yourself.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
All right, dive right into it.
All right. So first and foremost, what leads somebody to leave the JW community?
All right, well, waking up, like, if y'all haven't caught in our last videos, we explained the process of waking up. Now, when you wake up from the organization, you realize in the back of your mind, pretty much everybody puts things off that don't make sense, but you don't question it. That's what it comes down to. Don't question anything.
A lot of people, they end up leaving for, usually it's like one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
Either they found information or it could be a combination of the two.
Right.
They found information that does not make sense to them, and they have thoroughly researched the information, and that's why they end up leaving, because once those blindfolds are up, you can't put it back down. So you leave because of that, or you may also possibly leave because of the people that are in the organization. So somebody has offended you to like the max, you know what I mean? A lot of people have gone through like sexual assault within the organization, and you are upset about the disciplinary actions that never followed through.
Exactly.
We've seen a bunch of stories where, women have been sexually assaulted, or even little boys have been sexually assaulted by an elder or somebody that has some kind of title, and there's been basically little to no repercussions from that.
You're advised to let the congregation handle it versus the world. And what's happening in the congregation, you get disfellowship.
Or even if that doesn't happen, sometimes it's completely swept under the rug. And I can't imagine like something huge happening to like my child or something like that, and still seeing that same brother up giving talks, and you know what happened, and you've told the elder body what has happened, and there's been no repercussions. So
it's either nothing happened or he got disfellowship, now he reinstated and he get to do the exact same things. So things like that, or sometimes somebody is disfellowship and they leave. We have people comment they have been disfellowship for decades but still feel like it's the truth. Like that's my mother, for example, has been disfellowship for over 30 years, but she still believes it's the truth. But at some point you realize this is not the truth. Now some people realize this ain't the truth, but what ends up happening, you went through the steps, you realize something ain't right, and then you get curious to find out if something ain't right, and then once you realize something ain't right, now you go down the rabbit hole, and this is when you wake up.
And a lot of times during that rabbit hole, you're still partaking of like different things that's happening in the organization. There's elders that wake up, and people who actually have responsibilities to the church and to the kingdom hall. And if somebody like them wake up, like they're not able to teach the same things anymore, or they can't do it with a clean conscience, at least. So
that's true.
That totally leads them to. And I was watching a video of somebody who had left, and originally it was just the husband that left, and it was due to the information. But because of the rumors that had been started in the Kingdom Hall about why he left, it also led his spouse to leave.
Yeah, that is crazy. But everybody just has different stories. So we can cover, we cover what leads up to waking up. And the scary thing, like you mentioned, your position can make it so much harder. Are you an elder that woke up? Are you a mother and a wife that woke up? Or are you the husband and the father that woke up but everybody else didn't? Are you a child that woke up but your parents, you live in the house with them? It's so many different aspects. Or are you single by yourself? Like some people get to where they joined the organization but their family and friends never did. So now it's like, peace, I'm out. I'm going back over there to kick it.
I will say it's an easier transition if it's something like that, where the roots aren't so deep. It's not your whole family in it. You came in by yourself. It makes it so much easier to leave, because now you have a whole family that you're able to talk to again.
And they looking at you like, I told you.
So it's a smooth transition. But for the people that have like strong roots in the organization, their whole family is it can really feel like your whole world is just deteriorating before your eyes.
That could be scary. I can't imagine that feeling, having people that are kind of in but not as strict, and then still family in a community outside. It could be tough. And so let's cover some points. We'll give, kind of from our experience of what we had to go through coming through this together. Yeah. Kind of months apart, but
it was months apart.
Yeah, months apart.
He was scared to tell me.
Yeah, let's just dive right into that.
Okay, so whenever we woke up, really it was him first, So he was already going through this process by himself. But tell them how you felt in the moment and why you were like apprehensive from telling me about what you were feeling. Okay,
so if y'all haven't seen our other videos, I'll explain it again. When you first wake up, it's a mix of relief from like all the weight on your shoulders. Because usually when you wake up, you're not in what they call good standing. You're not like this, and you just wake up. Usually you are worn down, and you just like, wait a minute, something ain't right. So it was the relief of like, all right, I don't have to go by all these rules, but also lost. Like what just happened? Is God real? Is the Bible real? Is the organization real? Are the governing body, are they real? Like, it's so many thoughts to go through your mind.
Am I gonna lose my family?
Yeah, am I about to lose my family? Because at this time we were living together and we were dating, and it was more like we were inactive, but finding out the truth wasn't the truth. I understood. I went through a process, and I had seen so many videos. Like, shout out to JT and Lady C from Exjw Critical Thinker.
Y'all helped us.
They helped us a lot, and they helped by explaining the process that you have to go through to wake up, to realize something ain't right. And you can't be so quick to go tell other witnesses, hey man, I just found out this information, something ain't right. Because we've always been trained. You say anything that's against the organization or the governing body or what we are being taught by a watchtower, shut it down. As soon as you feel the vibe that they are going against this, stop. And it's hard to explain to your friends or family, because think about when you find out the truth is the truth as you believe, you so quick to tell everybody, look at this, I learned that. But if you ask the same people at the hall, if you found out the truth wasn't the truth, would you keep that to yourself? Of course they wouldn't. But think of the so-called apostates. They are trying to do exactly that. Finding out the truth is not the truth. You want to tell people, but unfortunately you can't do that because they haven't taken the time, like JT had explained. These people haven't gone through the process to realize this ain't right. So you going and trying to tell somebody that they're not ready for the conversation, and now you feel even worse because you just feel trapped and you feel like you've been manipulated, and you watching people you love, be manipulated, and it's like you can't even save them.
And the crazy part is your voice is completely taken away from you.
Yep,
because
it is.
It doesn't matter. We are automatically trained in the religion to, like he said, shut down anything that sounds like it's going against the organization.
Yep.
So we don't even give them a chance to talk or to tell us how they came to their conclusions.
No.
You write a letter in and they're not going to read it to the hall, so there's really no point in writing it.
It's not.
My thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they don't care about what you're saying. They are so completely indoctrinated to, they're going to immediately shut it down.
Yeah, somebody in our comments one time said that they were sick and in the hospital and they were having some second thoughts. And all the brothers did was ask them that simple question: do you believe do you not believe that Jehovah's organization is the truth? If you confirm that, it's a wrap. You done. You can get disfellowshipped on the spot for apostasy, all because you don't believe. And what's so crazy, my uncle even said, it's okay to have questions. It's not.
It's not.
I told him it is not okay to have questions.
We can have them, but they're going to go unanswered, or they're not. It's not going to be a satisfying answer. So we can have questions, and then like if their answer is, oh, well, new scrolls will be open, so you have to be comfortable with knowing that maybe all of your questions won't be answered in this lifetime.
Right.
How is that satisfying?
That is crazy.
That is not a satisfying answer whenever you're changing your entire life for this religion and for this God.
With half answers. And then say why I feel like you are not allowed to have questions, because if you ask the wrong questions, instead of us having a conversation now is, are you doubting Jehovah?
Yes.
And then if you say something like that, they gonna tell on you. They gonna tell other people, hey, so and so, they might be bad association. They were questioning, the elder said to do this, the governing body said to do this, and they were questioning it. Now you are you being shunned at this point.
Yeah, you get shunned even prior to, I think, completely leaving. You get shunned because there's elders and ministerial servants all of the time that end up, finding information and they no longer believe what they're saying anymore. So say they step down or they give their, they give their privileges up. Now, because there is no reason for it and they have just given up their privileges, everybody's wondering. So if you're a pillar to the congregation and you hold one of these titles, everybody's going to want to know, why did this person step down, or why has this person's privileges been taken away?
Rumors
so now,
out.
I was just about to say that. That's exactly how the rumors start spreading, and then now everything's being made up. Well, I've seen him talking to sister so and so a lot lately. Maybe they have.
I swear it really get like that,
but it gets like that.
You know what's so crazy about all this? None of this is scriptural. There's not a single scripture that says you need to be a ministerial servant. You need to become an elder. You have to get this many hours. So all of this is for what?
Yeah, basically. So, people give up their privileges, and there's all of these questions surrounding it. You can't hide it anymore.
No.
And it's almost like you're waking up on your own.
You are. So depending on your situation, I can speak from ours. I was at the point, I woke up and she hadn't woken up yet. And I wasn't sure how to explain it, so I just kept it to myself, and she kept asking and asking. So I would just ask little thought-provoking questions, because I would even look up videos pretty much from that era of 2020 when I woke up. I watched all the Exjw critical thinking topics there was. I'm scrolling up years ago stuff, just trying to learn this information so I'm prepared to have this conversation when it's time. So I
know you were thinking already, like, okay, I'm prepared to possibly lose it all.
Yep, like at this point, it is what it is. So I asked little questions here and there, and I shared, an old publication, and it said Zion's Watchtower. So your immediate reaction is what?
That's not part of the organization's literature.
Yeah, like that's not ours. And it was like some racist comments in it, and I'm like, this is supposed to be Jehovah's chosen people when Jesus took over invisibly from heaven.
Yeah.
Why are they making this type of information? And could you remember, like, what you were
just
thinking?
A little backstory from where I'm from. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So for those of you that don't know, that are Jehovah's Witnesses, that's where the whole Jehovah's organization was started. It was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So like being a Jehovah's Witness in Pittsburgh is a little bit different, because you almost feel like you're extra tied to the religion, because it started here. Like we go on tours, and like this is where the first congregation was held at, and we went to go see Charles Russell's grave and the Watchtower grave, like all of these things. So coming from that, and what did you ask me?
I asked you, why would they print this type of stuff in the literature if this is God's chosen religion? Yeah,
and I basically had told him the same thing that anybody else would have said. Was, they, I didn't say exactly they found you light, but it was something to that effect. Like,
that was then.
That was then, and this is now. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like, by then, I'm prepared to hear these reactions. So over time, little topics came up here and there. And so finally, one day, it came to the 144,000 teaching. I'm like, babe, is this Revelation itself? Is this symbolic, or is this literal? And you were saying, it's symbolic. It's symbolic. Remember?
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, and I'm like, all right, so everything goes symbolic, and then you get to this one part where it says 144,000, and then it's back to it's no
symbolic
longer literal.
Again.
Yeah, and it's like, so explain to me from this part, not just this little piece of the scripture. Start from here, read past it, and keep going. Where did it say 144,000 Jehovah's Witnesses are going to heaven? Everybody else is going to earth, and
I couldn't answer it, and I tried really hard, and it's not a question that I had never thought about before.
Yeah.
And just side note, while he's telling me all of this, in my head, I know exactly what's going on. Like, I know that he's not believing anymore, and in my own head, I'm like, oh my, like, we're gonna have to break up. He just moved all the way here to Pittsburgh from Ohio. He's gonna have to go back home to Ohio. I can't be with him anymore. All of these things are going through my head. And then also subconsciously, I know that it was wrong.
Yeah.
Because I've had the questions before and nobody brought them to my attention.
Yeah.
Except for my mom, every once in a while she would. But having that time, and this is why they tell you to keep in the congregation and keep close to the congregation.
Right.
Because at that time, what they would have seen as a weak moment because I was distanced from it, you know, and I wasn't participating as strongly anymore. Yeah. That to them is like, okay, that's a weak moment. That's easy for the devil to come. And that's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it also gives you the time to sit there and actually be able to think about everything that has happened and is going
that is
on.
a fact. Because you're not currently going to this meeting, going to that meeting, going to service, study this.
You're not spiritually exhausted. So you're kind of looking at it with new eyes.
A lot of people that wake up, I'll say a majority, wake up when they start to slow down.
Oh, there's other people who they don't slow down and they wake up and I cannot imagine that, like learning, which I'm sure a lot of you have the same experiences, but learning about the inconsistencies whilst also still being like a huge part of the congregation.
Yeah, like
it's probably hard to keep a fake face on. And I know a lot of people have really, really tried to do their best in ignoring it, but they just can't. They go home and they go back home and research it for hours, and then they show up at the meeting, and then they're like, this doesn't sound right, and then they go back home and research it for more hours.
Yeah, and it's everybody's journey is different. Some people are meant to wake up, you know, they slow down to wake up. Some people are constantly in the meeting. Some people have a spouse or a big family. Like everybody's situation is different, and we can even touch on, like, we know people, or even times looking back where somebody's mate left and never came back, or may have faded and never came back, and you never understood why. Like,
and we've seen both sides of it. We've seen how we talk to the mate that's still in it, and we also see how people treat the mate that's out of it, kind of. You know?
We have friends like that.
Yeah, I do too. I remember I had a friend whose parents were like that, and the dad was out for some reason. I think he used to be a ministerial servant or an elder, one of the two, but he just would never come back, and he was inactive. I remember going to her house and everything, and they'd be so excited when he would come to like a party or a meeting or something like that. And I just always remember thinking, because he was a really nice guy, and I just always remember thinking, like, what made him leave? What was so bad that made him leave in the moment?
We all wonder that, but it's something that you don't really go talk to them about.
No,
because they bad association.
And he's not going to go and tell what he thinks, because he already knows the consequences of everything. So he was still really respectful. Like, they would have Jehovah's Witnesses over all the time, and he was just he just kind of keep to himself. But I always wondered, because he was so nice. I'm like, what happened?
Like, why is he not this terrible worldly person under Satan's
control? Because that's how they kind of paint you, you know? Especially if you get disfellowshipped, or if you're inactive, or if you're an apostate. Like, they really paint you as like a bad person.
They do. Yeah. You just gotta be prepared for it, really.
Yeah.
For what comes with it.
Exactly. Everybody knows what comes with it, and it's so hard in the moment. And I can't imagine if you're waking up on your own.
Yeah,
but
that can be tough.
Just know that it's not the end of the world. You're gonna make new friends. Yep. You're going to have other people that are close to you. You're gonna find a different community.
This is true. Oh, I got one.
What?
Be comfortable with looking crazy. And another very important point, you have the truth.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad for having the truth. Even though people may be rubbed the wrong way, don't feel bad because you realize you are in a cult. And don't let the people in the cult make you feel like there's something wrong with you or you need to be shunned. Like, no, I have the truth, and I'm sorry that y'all not at the point in life where y'all are able to understand that. But stand firm on what you believe. Don't let them make you feel guilty, and just at the same time be understanding that you thought like that at one point too.
Yeah, that's a key, a major key right there.
They have been like, this is a high power control group, and they have people. It's more on a psychological level to where these people are brainwashed to where they don't understand. Even though you are right here in plain sight, their eyes are covered, and they can't. You can say, I'm holding up 3 fingers. They can't see this on the other side. So don't take it personal, because at one point you were also brainwashed to where if somebody would have said this to you, you would have been like, no matter how much sense it made, you'd have been like, no, that's you. And you've been taught every excuse to say, you know, the brothers are imperfect. You heard that a million times. So when, no matter how crazy the story is, you know, this brother did something to a kid and he didn't go to jail for it. The brothers didn't handle it right. The brothers are imperfect. That covers pretty much any bad thing that can happen in the organization. The brothers are imperfect, or this teaching is right. We got new light.
Yeah.
So they've been taught every rebuttal to say, and it's up to everybody's journey to understand something's not right.
Exactly.
But some people, unfortunately, may go the rest of their life and pass away before they realize that this ain't right. And some people might wake up tomorrow, might wake up next year, might wake up in 10 years. So don't take it personal, because they are under the control of something a lot more powerful.
Yes, and so even if you have a spouse or a family member that lives with you, and you've woken up and they have not, remember that this is their religion and this is their life. So,
good point.
Hopefully you guys are able to work it out, but if you're not, just know that there is endless options out there for you, and you don't have to stay stuck in a situation that is not going to benefit you in any way, because for the rest of their time they are going to try to get you back. And
always.
Yes, it's naturally going to cause a barrier in your guys' relationship, because all of the morals and everything is based out of this religion. So everything that they're going to go back to is going to be this religion.
You got a point. And then think about, even when they're not at home and they're around the people at the congregation, they're constantly being told, even if your children say, I'm the father and my wife and kids are still going to the hall, I'm painted in such a bad light that I'm no longer a good father. My kids are fatherless children, and that's what's being taught at the Kingdom Hall. Because
Sadly.
I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, so now my kids are fatherless.
Yes.
So you're an unbelieving mate now. So you're put as somebody that's not even worthy no more, and you like the kids and the wife are like a charity case that everybody feels bad for, and everybody knows about it.
Literally,
there's no secret.
Especially if you've been in it, you know how it's pictured, or you know how it's painted to them as well. So just try to stay strong. It's gonna be okay.
And something to remember: when you wake up, say you wake up and your spouse doesn't, try not to trigger them. Always think in the back of your mind. Thinking in the back of your mind, this person has been programmed to, if I say anything that a trigger that I'm in the apostasy, or as they call it, which apostasy means to leave a government or a religion. It has nothing to do with not wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness. Side note. But they have been programmed, so if you say anything off the wall, they gonna shut it down. So what I had to learn when I had woke up and my fiance hadn't woke up, I gotta say little small. All right, think about when you go out on field service and you don't want to say nothing too drastic, like Jehovah gonna destroy you because you're not one of us. No, we're just looking for Bible knowledge. Little small stuff like that, and that's how, not that you can wake other people up, but if you want to get them to open their mind up, just little small things that don't trigger anything. Like,
and I don't think that you can wake anybody up.
You
like
can't.
If it's meant for them, and they want to do that research on their own, then they'll do it. But if not, like, if you guys are able to avoid the topic somehow completely, then that might be the only way that a relationship can work, I can imagine.
Right.
Because I think it could work at the beginning. You know what I mean? It can work a little bit, but eventually
it's going to fall apart.
And
there's no way. You can't wake them up. The most you could do is little things here and there to mention, but just to go up and say the organization's a cult, you are going to trigger something. It could be little small things like, I was reading this old watchtower. Read this, and they may see something bogus in there, but don't even say like this is wrong. Just that's interesting, and leave it at that. But don't go so much to just try to force. The same way you want them to respect your beliefs, you got to respect the other person's beliefs. That this is what they believe in, and you can't force them not to.
And also know what's best for you. So if you're in a situation where it's really beginning to affect your mental health, or you're continuing to feel like just small, and no freedom at all, you don't have any community, you can't talk to anybody,
right?
Then maybe it's time to look at that.
And unfortunately, it's not an easy process, but long term, you don't want to have to keep fighting about something that's not changing, because you don't know when or if this person is going to wake up. 10 years could go by and y'all still fighting about the same thing, where you could have healed in those 10 years and got to be free to be yourself.
Exactly. And I think being a Jehovah's Witness, nobody else is going to understand the things that you have to go through. True. Except for other people who have also been Jehovah's Witnesses in the past. So even being part of like the Exjw community can help a lot. Like speaking, I know some people who don't want to talk to Jehovah's Witnesses ever again. No Exjws. They're just over it. They want they have
a clean
left,
slate.
Yeah, they have left
done.
it in their past and they're done, and it works for them. You know, for me, it helps me to be able to talk to other people who have gone through the same thing, because then you're like, okay, I'm not crazy, and this really was like that. You know?
and you even learn on a broader scale, cults in general, like this is just one of many cults.
Yeah.
And then you realize that all cults have things in common. It's to, for one, seclude you from an outside group of people or from your family. Like even as a Jehovah's Witness, if your mom is not a Jehovah's Witness, that's still your mom and you love her, but you are taught to look at her like they're less than.
Or they're worldly.
Yeah,
so you're either trying to save them or you have limited association with them.
Or if your family doesn't accept, now you look at, oh, this Satan has your family under their control, so they're not willing to accept. But maybe one day they'll come over. So you even look at your family like that, or they celebrate holidays. It could be your friends you had since you were a kid, and you become a witness at 35. Now you were taught to look at your old friends that you done had all your life. Those aren't good people, and you just got to understand that's unfortunately part of it. But coming out of it, you learn to find your own groove. You kind of have to reinvent yourself. Who am I? What do I really like to do? The stuff that I always wanted to do, but I was told I couldn't.
Yeah,
you
find hobbies that give you peace, you know, and find yourself. Like it's a new journey to being able to like find yourself, because they really kind of take your personality and crumble it.
Yeah, it's like somebody got you in a bear hug for all these years and you finally loose, and it's like, okay, what? Now what? That's kind of what life is like, and just explore and understand that this is gonna be okay. Our next video is gonna go deeper into the Exjw community, because this really helps mentally, you know, just with healing from this trauma, because you came from a high power control group. It is a lot more dangerous than what people think it is.
And it's gonna keep coming. Like even if you feel like you have healed from it, like there will be things that slightly trigger you, you know, especially if you have family in it still and they're trying to get you back. Like it's gonna somewhat trigger you.
Yep. Every once in a while I have to deal with it. Like even my family still says things here and there, and I have to learn to just ignore when they say certain things, like you know, the chariot is moving, and it's just like, but you, after a while, like in the beginning, and this is I won't say a mistake, but some people, it's all about, you know, your way of doing things. Some people immediately go on a whole rant and want to blurt out everything to everybody. This is a cult, and this is blah, 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 but don't realize you pushing and scaring everybody off now.
Because now you do look crazy.
Yeah, because now it's like you went from this to now you screaming up against the organization.
They didn't see you grow. They didn't see you go through the process or anything like that. All of a sudden it's this, and then it's boom, the complete opposite. So they're going to look at you like, oh, wow, like the Satan's definitely got her.
Or trying to, even if, like thinking the first time you watched apostate video, how you felt, you like, oh shoot, man, I don't know if I should be watching this, but it's also interesting, but you also realize something wrong, right? But if you just go and you watch this video and you send it to a witness, yo, as soon as they see the title, they not about to watch this stuff.
Definitely.
Very rarely.
That's why Exjw Critical Thinker is such a good channel to watch, because if you listen to them, you could see the Jehovah's Witness in them, you know, but like, really it's just who they are, you know, but they like dress nice, the way that they speak is very formal. I can literally imagine JT giving talks. So,
because he's a good speaker.
Yes. So listening to him, you're like, this is not what I imagined an apostate to be.
For real.
This is just like a normal human being, and that helped a lot.
That is funny. I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
but it's true.
When we first started watching JT, it's like trying to feel the vibe. I'm like, is this an evil person I shouldn't be watching? And then just hearing them talk, it's like, you've always been taught that these apostates are these evil, mad people that's just angry and it's like
Satan's got a hold.
And it's like, man, these are just nice people sharing their experience, and you realize it's not coming from a bitter place. It's just, this is my story. This is what happened, and you kind of conform your own opinion. Like, I agree with that. And that's kind of what you come across. We will go into a lot of depth on the Exjw community. Definitely.
But we just wanted to talk about that for a quick second, because we know there's people out there that are going through the same thing. So just stay strong.
Stay strong. Feel free. We read the comments too. So if you got any questions or you feel like it's some topics we should cover, drop it in the comments. And if it's something we got on it, we'll make sure we get back to y'all. And we'll kind of go in it. So subscribe. Make sure you like and comment. And just keep tapping in with us. We'll keep feed information, and hopefully we can all just work together and we can heal together as a people.
Yep. See you in the next one.
See you on the next one.